Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships with the return of our Intermediate Player Guide series. And I have something a bit different for today. Essentially, we're going to look at 2, maybe 3 battles, depending on how much time we have, of battles that did not go well. So the gist of this video is a difference between a beginner player and an intermediate player is as an intermediate player when you can look back and reflect on mistakes that you made in the match, right? So one of the main ways of doing that is actually watching your own replay of your battle. So there's actually in your World of Warships game folder, you open that up, there's this folder that says replays. You can open that up and there's just these little miniature icons basically of battles that was recorded in the game. And so you can go in there, you can watch the replay of the game you may have just had where you just feel like things were really bad, or maybe it's a video you're sending into Jingles, that type of thing. I also record games on the fly, but the bad games or the poor games, I tend to not save. I just delete and get rid of them. And this is one of those games. So I think I can have control here. So I'm actually in game with the replay file watching right now. And I always stress about you need to know what ships have radar, learning that, right? I have a video on that. So when you're a destroyer player especially, so I'm wondering, okay, there's a Lexington, he's flying back behind me. There's a sub, there's a Cossack B, he's got the same concealment as I do, and a Cossack. There's a kid at Kaze. I out-detect both of these, but then there's also a Tulsa. There's only 2 cruisers. One of them has a radar, okay? So when I look at the mini-map, this should have been my first clue to what was happening. So if we look down here, the Otago B is here on the 9 line. This is the first mistake. Well, this is the second mistake I made, actually. That second mistake should have been, whoa, Tulsa's likely in over here. So it means there's going to be a 10-kilometer radar in on me over here, okay? The first mistake I made was not going wide, okay? I should have gone wide. It's not wise to just sit up on here, because if you look at the mini-map, I don't have team support. I just have this Amagi here. He's kind of looks like he might be turning around or something. He's staying close. So if we get a push, things are not going to go well. So here comes the Lexington. So I decide, okay, I need to smoke up. Okay, so I don't want to get spotted by planes. I have really crappy AA, 2.5 kilometer detectability. And I decide, I begin to accelerate. I'm like, should I turn out and go out like this into the cap to get back behind? And then I'm like, maybe that's not wise. So maybe what I should do is reverse back around here, okay? But the problem is I've already sealed my fate with that first mistake of not going wide to see what is back in over here. Okay, they already have a Lepanto and a Magi, they have a destroyer here. We only have 1 battleship here, okay? And then here comes the radar. Second mistake was I should have realized the Tulsa was over here because the Otago B is up here on the 910 line. One other cruiser means he's probably somewhere in over here. So there's the radar, okay? And there's the Kaze. So I am basically screwed at this point because the Tulsa has a long-lasting radar. All I can do is try to deal as much damage to him. I'm tempted to try to get all my guns on target, but if I do that, I'm going to be showing a lot more target, and Kaze is going to have ability to do a lot more damage in on me. So totally mopped this up. If I had gone wide, I would have even detected the Kaze. I think Kaze is 6.4 concealment. So I made the mistake. The first was not going wide. Second was not realizing Tulsa's probably over here, since I see the Otago B here. And I think just third in general is like I don't have any team support, okay? So Magi's about to go down. So there's that match. And now we're going to go into the next match. I'll be back up on the screen here in a moment. So that's learning from the mistakes, okay? So generally when you're in a position like that, in the Cossack or destroyer, you want to go wide. You want to see what's happening in the cap. Even though I have really good concealment, it's just not wise for me in that situation. So that's something we can learn from, okay? I can even say that I don't always have these fantastic games. I have games in which I struggle. I do poorly. As a whole, I play good to really good, okay? But then I have those battles, I start off the game really bad, I position poorly, it happens. You can't expect yourself to play top quality all the time. You're going to even have bad days in World of Warships. But again, the difference between what sets players apart in World of Warships is from beginner to an intermediate is when you reach the level of, let's say, an intermediate, when you can reflect and like, oh, I made a mistake there. Even if you have a good game, you can critique yourself and say, oh, I could have done this, or I could have done this a little better. If I'd been more mindful with my rudder shift, I wouldn't have taken as much pin damage from that battleship shooting armor piercing at me, so on and so forth. So that is today's video, okay? Each of these videos I'm vaguely familiar with. It's been some days have passed. This one, there's going to be a couple things going on in here. I think as a whole, I don't play this terribly, but I make a mistake at the end that kind of costs me, okay? So here we're starting off. We're in the Tiger. I just wanted to play something different at Tier 5. I don't always like to spam Nicholas when playing Tier 5, okay? I do change things up every now and then. But we had been playing top tier for a while, and then like, hey, let's drop down to low tier. So then we start, let's play Tier 5, get a break. But of course, we get bottom tiered, and there's Tier 7s we have to deal with. So already, we're at a disadvantage when you're looking at the tier spread difference, okay? So we have to be mindful of what's going on. So they have a Ranger. You can see on the minimap he's flying down here. The Huron from the dockyard of Puerto Rico. I'm still on my way grinding that ship as I'm recording this video, or to reach it in the shipbuilding phases. They have 2 cruisers and 4 destroyers, okay? So we're going to move up here. And for now, I just want to move in, and I'm going to keep this island between me and the Rook back over here. Let's see here. I'm trying to see what else. So we have HE loaded, and we had enough. The island was low enough where I could lob those shells over. I had HE, I think, originally loaded because the Huron pushing up, but AP on a broadside Rook would have been quite nice, but we didn't even land any of those shots. So I'm pretty sure Doom has the concealment advantage against the Huron, so he's going to pop his smoke to try to disengage from the Huron there. And so we have both, so there's a Rook, there's a Marblehead, we got the Huron out here. Void's going a little bit wide, maybe try to get some shots down into this direction. So you can see, I haven't talked about it yet, but our team has completely lemming trained to A, okay? This is very bad because our team's just going to push down here. And if you have a lemming train, you have to encourage your team, like very rarely will you ever get 1 or 2 to come back. But you have to encourage them. They have to push through and do a full sweep. They can't push in and just simply come out this way. They have to go all the way through, force any enemy team players back out of here, and force them out, because otherwise they push out into a crossfire, okay? So right off the bat, we realize we are in a bad situation here in regards to our team. And I'm still shooting HE. I should be switched to AP at this point, so that would have been wiser to do here on the Marblehead, so there's a critique on myself. I think the Huron has hydroacoustic search. I think Doom commented maybe it does. I don't remember. I can clarify in the comments or in this video that was the case here with the Huron. But I was really trying to keep this HE loaded with that Huron around, I think was my original thinking. So we got a nice salvo in there, but of course it's not going to be enough. And we're showing too much side to the Rook, so we are going to take punish for that, but I really wanted to prioritize trying to get rid of this Huron, okay? So you can also see on the mini-map, I'm having to try to pay attention as much as I can to the mini-map right now, because our Ryujo is so many carriers. I'm actually going to make a video on this pretty soon. But I'm really annoyed by carriers in World of Warships, because carrier players have all the time in the world to look at the mini-map, okay? So many carrier players lack situational awareness and paying attention to their mini-map, okay? When the mid's open like this, and this gear pod was detected back here, he's just going to go for him. If you have, ideally, as a CV player, you need to be going to your strong flank, which is down here, okay? So he should have already been sailing down this way, because over here, this flank in mid, it's a lost cause, okay? But that's not going to be the case with him. So now I'm going to have to shift focus. I would rather help Void here with the push coming in here, but I'm having to assist our CV player because he wasn't paying attention to the minimap, okay? So Void did get rid of the Marblehead, which is great for him. I've switched to my rear turrets, hoping they reload in time, but they're not going to reload in time for me to get the shells lobbed around. He's continuing to lose health. We have engine boost going, so I'm going to have to accelerate forward. Because I really don't want the gear part to just simply go dark and get away. I want him to be able to kill him, hopefully. And I'm looking at torpedoes here, and it looks like, yeah, our CV is going to go down to the torpedoes here. But we're going to pop out here, try to get the aiming down, and we want to catch him off guard as soon as possible so he has little time to react once I've detected him. We get 2 pins there, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dump a torpedo. You never know what's going to happen, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump one along the island here in case he decides to run this way at me, which he very well could. But it looks like he's going to go around the other side of the island, okay? Our team has stalled out back here, which is not what you do not want this to happen. There's only, looks like 4 enemy ships here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They need to be pushing through, but that's just not going to happen. So you'll have matches like this where things just get really lopsided, and even if you have the best of intentions. So we're going to push out here, and I'm really hoping to just smash the Guri part. He's only 5.3 kilometers away, and we get 4 pins, but it's not enough, just 3,000. So I'm going to kill throttle. I'm playing with my throttle. I'm playing with the rudder shift because he could be dumping torpedoes in at me, okay? But I really need to finish him off here. And despite playing with the throttle and stuff, I'm still going to eat 2 torpedoes here, which do quite a bit of damage. And hoping to finish him off this salvo. Yeah. Okay, we get him. All right. So we get rid of him, and then I'm going to make a big mistake here in a moment. Okay, I'm really low on health. I'm going to go dark in 7 seconds. Okay, I have this. It's in the World of Warships ModStation, and I'm about to go dark. And I need to go dark because my health is too low. I've basically stalled out. I'm not going very fast. And for some reason, I decided to shoot. And then I realized, oh, I just screwed up huge. Because I should have stayed dark, got behind the island, chilled out a bit, and used my repair party. Okay? But I make a really big mistake here. And that I could have maybe lived a little longer, ran down here, maybe able to angle enough with the rook. I would have lived a little longer, probably done a little more damage, but in terms of helping turn the game around, I'm not sure if that would have been possible with the rook, because tier 5 versus tier 7, there's just a bit of a difference there. Not just saying an easy way out with the tier difference, but just recognizing the difference in terms of the strength of ships, because naturally as you go up the tier line, ships, generally speaking, get stronger. I think a Magi is stronger than a Zumo, even that's a tier 8, tier 9 difference. But when you're playing and you're seeking to improve yourself, you have to keep coming back to the table like, what could have I done better to help my team in this situation? So I'm a little frustrated with my team because they've just been stalled out this entire time. And I see this mistake all the time. Almost on a weekly basis where you can have a team just completely limbing and they just stall out. It's very frustrating when if you're in a situation you have to break out, whether that's helping try to get your team to push, encouraging them, or you simply having to reposition yourself, okay? Because our team's just gotten bottled up down here. So we're going to go ahead and exit from this game, and we'll go ahead and do one more. We will do one more. Okay, so we've done a tier 8. We've done a tier 5 battleship. And then we're going to do a tier 10 battleship. So I'm trying to get some of the different metas you might find, I guess, here in World of Warships. Because you're going to find different game metas depending on what tier you're playing. Okay, so now we're going to be in Okinawa, okay? So I'm here with Doom. I'm in Ohio. He's in Republic. Looking at the matchmaking, the there's 3 cruisers, or should I say 4 cruisers with the Elbing, but 3 destroyers and a sub. And we're going to drop in. Okay, so we're here on C. So this is a game I actually did, I think, a good amount of damage. Yeah, I think it did a good amount of damage, but I think our team just kind of fell apart. But there's those things we can look at ourselves beyond just our team. Okay, so we have a Forrest Sherman. We have an Azuma with us. Doom and Republic. It looks like I'm already looking at the mini map. The Iowa's coming. So I think the 2 things every player should do. Well, it's probably 3 things. Okay, first is when your game's logging in, you're about to drop into the match. Study the ship list. Okay, so we're trying to see 9-kilometer radar. We have, he can push in. He's a tank. Got some secondary action here. We have the Dutch cruiser with airstrikes. Gotta be mindful of that because that is going to impact us later on. L-beam, Shima Torps, Holland. So a lot of torpedoes just between these 2 and a submarine. Okay, so then you're kind of seeing how things stack up. You can check our team out. So we have 2 radars between both the Buffaloes. We also have a Shima, a Holland, Salmon, so pretty similar there. So it doesn't look like a huge mismatch or misplay, if you will. Okay, so that's the first thing you should do. And I'm switching from AP to HE to deal with Republic pushing in. The second thing you should do is you see how you're positioned on the map, and you got to decide. Okay, in general, you support whatever flank you spawn on. I see so many players who will leave whatever flank they're on, and then they go completely to opposite end of the map. Okay, support the flank you're on. So we spawn on this flank, we're going to support this flank. Generally, when you're in the middle, like let's say you spawn back in here, you can decide. I try to split the difference. So if there's let's say there's 2 battleships over here, 1 battleship over here, another battleship, I'll go support the 1 battleship, okay? The third thing you need to do is see how your team's moving with you, okay? Once you've seen how your team's moving with you, like recognizing, okay, we have an Iowa moving in, oh, maybe have some crossfire from this kind of between BC. It helps you know how you need to position. And then the 4th thing in general is just seeing what enemy ships you're against, okay? So we're going to HE spam a little bit here against the Republic. Also for the Kremlin, we're trying to push these guys away from the cap. We want to push the radar Seattle away so our Forrest Sherman can sit here in the cap and flip it, which it looks like that's been successful for him so far. We're looking at the mini map. We have 2 DDs in A with another destroyer around, and they're kind of a strong presence. They have 6 ships just here in this small area, okay? So we have 5 over here, and right now all we know of is that there's 3. 3 enemy ships here, okay? So I need to move for the Azuma. Didn't realize he was going to reverse. Sometimes you have to be mindful of what your team is doing around you, so I didn't want to slow him down and he eats citadels or something like that, but he's taking a little bit of chunk damage there because Azuma is gets punished rather easily. Okay, so when we're starting off this battle here, and myself, we're still trying to get some HE in here, and I'm going to get kind of frustrated here for a little bit because the memory is coming back to me. But I feel like there's going to be a bit of time elapses where none of my shells are going to connect. I'm going to be sitting at this low damage for quite some time, but that will pick up in the last half of the battle. And there we pick up the Shimakaze. So no battleship necessarily, until I knew what was here in the cap, because it wasn't being, it was contested. I knew it was either going to be the submarine or it was going to be one of the destroyers. So we saw the L-Bing, he's over here, so that means Shima and Holland and the sub could be here as a whole, right? So I don't really feel like pushing into 25 torpedoes. So we're going to continue to feel things out here. All right, so the Shima's, he's moved off that way. One of the strengths of when you're at this island that I'm using is that it's a nice torpedo buffer. So the Azuma actually is doing it quite well with how he's positioned. Maybe if he was kiting out, it would help. But these enemy battleships and cruisers, they're pushing away from us, or they're moving away from us, right? So that's going to have to force us to be able to move in closer here. And there's a submarine popped up right behind the Iowa. And he's going to be able to get him killed. So the sub threat is gone. We've still only seen the Elbing, we've seen the Shimakaze, but we haven't seen where the Holland is, okay? So there's still a DD down here. I can see there was a destroyer shooting out of the smoke screen here, okay? So we're going to move up because, again, we're still struggling to land shots. But we need to apply pressure because the big thing here is that the enemy team is doing quite well in coordinating a push together along the flank up the 2-3 line. Okay, they're sticking together. Looks like they're committed to doing it. So that means that puts pressure on us on our flank because we need to mop up and push the enemy team away out of here. So then it's like the battlefield, if you will, shifts. Okay, so the match started off with, you know, imaginary line through here, our side, their side. But when you have this, they're beginning to topple, so we're losing map control. We need to try to see if we can't help equalize the map control. So that line begins to shift, maybe something like this, and then maybe even turns into something like this later on. But we'll have to monitor that, okay? I feel like I keep saying okay a lot, like I'm just this teacher moment. So Buffalo has popped his radar, and he's picked up the Shimakaze and the Holland. Tried to say both of those destroyers at the same time. So we have HE loaded. We got a secondaries targeting the Shimakaze. So we really need to try to get rid of these two destroyers because a Shimakaze alone, but a Shimakaze and a Holland are really going to kill any type of push we decide to try to do down through sea, right? If our Sherman is not out there kind of helping take on, combat against the Holland and Shima, that's going to make life very difficult for us, okay? And so we saw the Shimakaze, we saw the Holland, so we utilize islands. When you're a brawling ship, you tend to want to try to utilize islands and pushing up, but we just lost our Buffalo. And we lost the other Buffalo, so both Buffaloes are dead. So things are screwed here. It's just a matter of time before the enemy team pushes down through there. So we are doing very bad on map control. So our map control is kind of like this. An enemy team has the majority of it for now, and it's only going to get worse. So this is a really difficult situation because it means we need to apply pressure and move up. But it's very difficult to do that if you're a battleship and you're dealing with destroyers. And we lost our radar cruiser, which was significant for us. That's what helped detect the Holland and the Shimakaze there. But our Sherman, he has hydro. What would be great for him is if he got out here in this area and he had his hydro running. So he's spotting torpedoes for us, and it makes it easier to move up, okay? Sorry, I feel like I keep saying okay constantly. Anyhow, so there's Holland torpedoes. They're moving really fast. There's 2 sets of 5. So I don't have to worry about any Holland torpedoes at the moment, but they have a short reload time. It doesn't take them very long to come back up. But we're still shooting away at this Republic. I'm still kind of clinging on to the high explosive because if the destroyers pop back up, I want to be able to deal with them and maybe get some more damage in. I'm going to have to switch to armor piercing here just because of this threat that's moving from A towards Bravo. Our Vladivostok, he was actually doing pretty good there in his position for a bit. He was kind of being his tank. He was, as they pushed up, he was sort of punishing them, if you will. But it was kind of only a matter of time after the rest of our team collapsed and pushed on him, so it was rough. Our Holland and Shimakaze, I would say, I haven't seen what they've done over here, but they've been doing good in the sense when you have this push coming in, they just need to run and throw a bunch of torpedoes all in through here to try to stall and break down their push as much as possible. So I go ahead and throw a depth charge strike out in front of me because I want to see where, if it'll pick up any enemy destroyers. I've been not moving very fast. I've been playing with my speed. But I'm going to get into a situation here where I'm going to have to orient myself. And really bad timing. So we're going to eat, I think, like 4 torpedoes there. But we're going to pop the repair party instantly. Get the damage control party going, repair party. And we're going to try to focus on this Massachusetts. I want to get him off my side here. And with Shimakaze's popped up, so we're paying attention to our mini-map. And then here is another rack from the Shimakaze. Widespread. big mistake. We're able to find a nice hole here, and we get away scot-free here. So we have our secondaries switched off to the Shimakaze. Now we have the Drake coming in. Okay, so I need to kind of turn in to deal more with that threat, because I want to see if I can get turned around, reorient myself here. So I want to see if I can't try to do that again. Our Sherman is here. Our Holland is here. If the Sherman was maybe moved down here at the Holland and try to take on these guys, it'd be very helpful, but he's losing a lot of health pretty quickly. Instead, the Sherman decides to smoke up right in front of me. So I'm trying to just toot my horn to see if he can just give me some space to get in here. So we're able to go dark for just a little bit here. Now we're going to have this issue with the Kremlin. So I'll get the next repair party up. He Nazers maybe strategically into the island. So I thought about going for him, but the Drake is going broadside, and I'd kind of rather get the front turrets onto him. And we've smacked him for 31k. So that was good. And then we just go ahead and use our rear turrets on the Kremlin. And then we turn back in to angle in here. So now my goal is, if I live through this, I need to Nazer the island here. I want to try to go dark if possible, which is really hard with how many enemy team members are left. So hoping that things go okay here. We don't take much damage from the Johann de Witt. He's somewhere down and around this area now. So this is a very, very bad situation for me to be in at this point in time. I'm also paying attention to minimap, so you can see me looking that the Ruprecht and the Vanguard, if they're smart, what they should do is they should come around this way. If they come around this way, I'm screwed because I'm sitting into this position. So I'm trying to chill as much as I can right now to get my next repair party up, because I need more health to be able to live in this engagement a bit longer. So I'm hoping the Drake doesn't get close and pop his Hydro. I'm pretty sure Drake gets Hydro, because he could just light me up, or maybe he could even possibly proxy spot me. I'm detecting the mini-map, just saying, hey, we've got this threat, most likely that's going to be moving down this way. So I decide I'm going to go ahead and reverse and see maybe about trying to angle. I'm more concerned about these ships than I am these ships now at this point, okay? So this is just a losing battle at this point, just because that was the strength of the enemy team. They coordinated their push really well, and taking A and forcing our destroyers out and killing off Buffalo, and then the other teammates that we had around in the area, which I think looks like they fled more to this area. So Drake spots me with a spotter plane. That's another thing that's a big threat to me right now, because I know if I'm spotted for very long, the Johann de Witt is likely to send more airstrikes on me, okay? So as I was suspecting and I was setting up for, they're coming around the flank here. So I want to get this shot off here. So we're going to smack him for almost 39k. And we go ahead and we burn the next repair party, just because now we're going to be in this engaged fight with all these ships moving in against us. So we don't have too much time left for the world, but we're angled well as much as we can. I'm about to go down here. The Ruprecht is showing me a lot of broadside, so I say, you know what? I'm going to shoot you instead. And typical with Halsey, picking up Confederate right as you die. That's usually how things go. But in that situation, we ended with over 218,000 damage. So that's how that situation went. So I hope just kind of highlighting, reviewing your own replays, examining how your team's position, how the enemy team's position, how you can work with your team, or realize how the enemy team is, maybe in this example, you know, they're pushing past the flank here, so that's going to put pressure on us to finish things up. And it really came down to trying to have our destroyers put a lot of pressure on them to help us in this case, in this scenario. So a little different than the first two in this scenario. So I think it's just going to wrap up today's video. So if you appreciated this video, please let me know. I'm trying to have some pretty good ideas to be very engaging with you all with this intermediate player guide series. I'm doing my best to try to help you as a player, but a significant thing is to watch yourself play, watch some replays of yourself to just kind of see how you would critique yourself. If you don't have any critiques for yourself, if you thought you did pretty good overall, like, oh, I did that match perfectly, I'd probably encourage to humble yourself a little bit more, because even when I have really good games, there's still some things I'm like, oh, I should have worked on that a bit more. Oh, I made a mistake. I showed too much side here. Oh, I should have just gone dark here, and here I shot, revealing myself. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're already subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it, and we will catch you next time. Take care.